Hey gang, Will here from the Ashland Fly Shop, and we're getting right into big dry fly season here in Southern Oregon and Northern California. And we want to go through kind of our favorite desiccants and floatants because a lot of times when you're fishing dry flies, and not just salmon flies, not just the big ones, but a lot of times with dry flies, fish really want them floating high. There are some times when they like them sunk, but my experience has been fish really like to see those flies floating high. I think that particularly pertains to salmon flies and stone flies. So we're going to talk about some of our favorite desiccants and floatants and some of our, give you guys some tips on how to use them. So typically I always start my day with a silicone floatant. It could be a gel, it could be you know, just a standard liquid, and my favorite and kind of a perennial in the industry is Aquel. This is a very nice silicone floatant. It's $4.95 a bottle, so it's not going to set you back too much. And basically what you want to do there for a tip is you just want to squeeze out about, I put about a half a dime size in my fingers there, or excuse me, right in the palm of my hand. I then take that with my fingers and kind of pick it up and kind of push it around in the dry fly, and you can really get that really in the fibers of the fly, even into the foam, and really kind of get it in there. Now you don't want to like really oversaturate it, so that half a dime size is really going to work. It's just going to have a little bit of a gloss to it. Work it into the fly, and that's really going to cover you. That's really going to cover you for quite a bit. But what's going to happen ultimately is, hopefully, you're going to catch a fish or two, and it's going to kind of get slimed, and the fish will also take it under and get it pretty drenched. So then what you want to do is you want to get as much of the water out of it as you can. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll put it in my shirt, or even if I have a cotton rag or something, I'll kind of dab it like that to get the water out of it. And then you should be back to good, you know, for a little while again. Now, the second stage, and what we feel is probably one of the more important stages of treating your dry flies, is getting into the desiccant powders. And the powders, if you're fishing dry flies all day long, large dries, medium-sized dries, we strongly recommend that you use a desiccant powder because it really keeps them floating. And all this stuff is you know, a lot of the electronic products that you buy now, they come with a little desiccant pack in them. And that's basically what this stuff is. It's just kind of set up in a two-step form. So we have a couple that we like. Another industry standard is the Shimazaki Dry Shake. It's been around forever. It's a very nice product. We also like the Loon Top Ride. That's also a very nice product. And we're really happy to see the last couple years that Shimazaki has introduced a much larger container for that, and that comes in really handy, and I'll show you why in a second here. But this is basically a kind of a two-step product in that it has some large granules, and then it has some powder, kind of powdery granules in it. And so what it does is the powder kind of adheres or sticks to the fly, and it pulls all the water out of the fly, and it just keeps it floating super high. So you get one treatment with this stuff, you're back on the water, and boom, your fly is just like barely touching the water. It's really floating high. So what you want to do there, like I said, going back a minute here, is you want to get as much of the moisture out of the fly as you can. You don't want to treat it dry after it's been wet or something. Then you can treat it with the powder, but you know, with a little bit of moisture, that helps it adhere. So basically you get as much moisture out of the fly as you can, and then you take your desiccant, pop it open like that, and most of them have a fairly large opening, and honestly you just stick the fly into the opening and you give it a couple shakes, and it'll come out fairly coated with this stuff. It'll even look kind of white. You can probably see there's some powder coming off. So I can just give it a little blow like that, and boom, you're back on the water, and that thing is like really perked up and floating high, and I have found that fish really respond to that. So those are some of the products that we like as desiccants. There are great ways to carry them. We have several of these at the shop here, so that your liquid can hang like that. We've got a little dry shake basket by Fish Pond that most of these kind of pop into. Obviously, this will have to sit in your, you know, in your vest pocket or something, but that's a really great idea. I'm going to give you a couple little tips here before we run. Sometimes the wing of your fly can get quite matted. If you have a piece of Velcro or a small comb, you can actually comb that out while you're on the river. Sometimes you got a vest that has a Velcro on the back of it or something. Just give that a comb out. That's going to boom. That's going to pop up really nice for you. You can also, if you get a smaller bottle of powder or desiccant, you can put it into, you know, a little fly cup, and that kind of gives you the larger size so that you can actually get your fly in there and treat it. So there's a couple of things that you can do there. So that should keep your flies floating high and dry for the salmon fly season and beyond. Thank you so much for tuning in.